All right, all right. Phenomenal morning, guys. This is your $1 billion breakfast with the brand. I want you to understand, this is not small change. This is not small change. We want to wake you up. We want to welcome you. We want to ask you to sit and dine with us for breakfast, right? As we talk about success, as we talk about wealth, as we talk about business, as we talk about systems, leadership, branding, marketing, speaking, success, the things that you need to take your life to the next level, guys. I promise you, right now, a lot of you, $100,000 would feel like $1 billion, straight up. And the goals here, I want you to understand goals. Goals here need to have a zero added to them. So whatever your goal is, if you got a 6-figure goal, make it a 7-figure goal. If you got a 7-figure goal, make it an 8-figure goal. And if you got an 8-figure goal, make it a 9-figure goal. And just in case one of you has a 9-figure goal, dare to add a 0 to it and make it a 10-figure goal. Phenomenal morning.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Phenomenal morning. Sean, I just want to say morning to everybody that's viewing. I see Tia. We also have a few people coming in. But as you were speaking, man, I was just thinking about vision. So vision comes to mind. The importance of a vision is it's very, very interesting. I was actually looking at an interview over the weekend with Walter Isaacson.
Okay.
Walter Isaacson, he recently wrote the book about Elon Musk. So I've been really looking at studying sort of the psychology of Musk and sort of how he thinks. And you start to understand the importance of a vision. I can remember Walter telling the story of how Musk started SpaceX. So he went over to Russia, tried to procure some equipment, right, to build a rocket. And they basically messed around with him, right? They didn't give him anything. They toyed him around. So on the plane ride home, he went back to first principles thinking, and he had a vision, right? So he was thinking to himself, okay, well, the Russians didn't want to give me the rockets, but what can I do? How can I still bring this vision to fruition? And then basically he assessed the cost of what it would take to get an actual rocket, like the individual material, and he built it himself. And guess what? It costed him 1/10 of what he would have paid to acquire it from Russia. But that came from vision. That came from vision, guys. So listen, if you have a goal, you need a vision to go along with that goal. You need a vision to go along with that goal. But yeah, I'm feeling phenomenal. I'm ready to go. I'm fired up. Let's go.
Let's go. Bobby Jackson, how you feeling, brother?
I'm feeling like there are new lows, new highs. New lows, new highs. So this morning, I ran, as I always do. And when I ran this morning, I was sick, so to speak. Like I felt sick, but I'm very healthy, but my body was not responding the way it normally does. I felt lethargic. My left hamstring was tight. My stomach, I had more carbs last night than I normally do. So I was able to track it back to where it came from. So I was like,
that's
okay,
right.
I don't normally eat this type of carb, nor this amount of carbs within this window. And because I did, it affected my body. But I still ran faster, not necessarily my fastest time, but I ran faster than I had previously. So for me, this morning was interesting because it was like I felt every minute. I felt every minute this morning. And it was grueling and it was, painful, but it was more of one of those like, okay, we're going to eat this one. We're going to eat this one because it's our fault. So I'm feeling the morning like, it's December. It's the 2nd of December. We still got 30 days left, or get less than that, 29 days left. 30 days if you count today. And what do you need to own and eat is how I'm feeling. Like what did you, if you could look back in your past 6 months or past 12 months, like what's something like, you know what, I did that and I own that and I'm going to eat that and just get it done. Like that's the energy that I've got on me right now.
Very good. Very good. Guys, share this out. Share this out because you don't get this kind of energy every day. Like the people that are following you need this energy too. So sharing is caring. Don't hoard it. I promise you. Don't be a storehouse. Don't be a hoard house, right? Share this out so that your people that are connected to you, you can become a proper shepherd and a steward of that flock. Because the people that are following you don't have to. And a lot of times the people that are following you are not responsive. They're not engaged. And that might be because, I mean, let's just talk about algorithms real quick. It might be because you don't go live. But watch this. You don't have to go live. If you share this out, the algorithm will see you as going live and your people will be notified. So leverage the leadership. Leverage the leadership that you see and leverage the courage that you have access to until you can foster it yourself. We want to be a resource. We want to be a tool. We want to be used as a resource by you to help you to become successful so that you can see that you can do it too. Now, here's a funny thing, right? Bobby was feeling the pain this morning. I was feeling the gain this morning, right? Now, I don't eat breakfast. I eat bike. I don't eat breakfast. I eat bike. So I get on the Peloton this morning and before I know it, 20 minutes is gone. And then 30 minutes is gone. And I feel like I just got on the bike. It's like I'm just starting. I'm like, wow, you know, that's what happens. It's called incremental gains become exponential gains. What do they say? They call it the inches. The inches. So I'm on the back end with Bobby all the time talking about the inches. The inches gained are the miles earned. Small steps. I promise you this. Small steps. And let me tell you, before this call, I was on a sales call with my team telling them that it's the inches, it's the small things that you do over an extended amount of time that compound and become your force of nature. It becomes your ability, because how you do anything is how you do everything. And repetition deepens the impression. So I gave the analogy of a muscle. The muscle. You can look like Arnold today and Andre the Giant tomorrow if you don't work out. If you don't consistently build the muscle, the more things that you do, the more things that you incorporate into your diet, into your regimen, into your training, the better performance you're going to be able to call upon in your business and in your life. And this is just a real quick repartee. You know, we're going to go to a break, but I just want you to understand, like, the more you even just come here and let this word touch you for business and for growth and for scale, the better you're going to become by default. Because as we stated, it's gaining traction, whether you know it or not. We'll be right back. This is the Breakfast with the Brand. I'm excited. There's slow growth and then there's scale. There's incremental growth, and then there's exponential growth. What I want to talk to you about is adding a zero to you and experiencing exponential scale. Incremental growth says 1 + 1 is 2. Exponential growth says 1 + 0 is 10. Incremental growth says 2 + 2 is 4. Exponential growth says 5 + 0 is 50. Guys, listen, when you add a zero to you, you can add a zero to the marketplace. You can add a zero to the value that you bring. So you can add a zero to your family, add a zero to your legacy. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about incremental, we're talking about exponential. I always say that business is a spiritual game. Just imagine when you combine your skills, your values, your abilities, your talents to something bigger than you, something greater than you, something like the power of exponential. That is adding a zero. Add a zero to your competence, add a zero to your confidence. This is about adding a zero in your life, your value, your industry, and your mission. Let's grow. The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves. You train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaway just from day one is you are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
Just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
Ask yourself, do you believe? Do you believe it's possible for you? Junior, when Junior spoke for a moment, he spoke about the power of visualization. What do you envision for yourself? Matter of fact, pick up on that, Junior. Talk a little bit more about that visualization piece, because we talk about reverse engineering all the time. But in order to reverse engineer, you got to see the future to reverse engineer it.
Sean, there's so many levels that I can talk about it. I don't know how deep you want me to go. How deep should I go, man? There's so many levels when it comes to visualization and
This is the
business.
Breakfast with the Brand, man. We trying to give people $1 billion worth of value.
Okay. So my interpretation of visualization. So what is visualization? Number one, visualization to me means having the power to see something in your mind's eye. So being able to visualize, right, means being able to see. Now, funny enough, seeing or visualizing doesn't have anything to do with sight. So visualization doesn't necessarily have to do with what you see with your physical eyes, but rather what you see in your mind's eye.
There you go.
Now, when I think about the depth of visualization, interestingly enough, there's some school of thought that says that everything sort of already exists. Okay. So if you can conceive it and you believe it, then you can achieve it. Okay. So if you can see something in your mind, on some level, it means that it already exists. But what I've found is that the level of detail, so they say God is in the detail, right?
That's right.
The level of detail that you could apply to your visualization means the level of detail, or it impacts how quickly you're going to get that. So Sean, I can actually give a story, a personal story. So let's flash back to 2011. So 2011, I'm in what we call secondary school, which might be like high school in your country. I'm about to sit my exams and I learn about the power of visualization. This is like almost 10, 11 years ago. Okay. So I said, okay, these are the grades that I want to get. I was sitting about 10 subjects at the time. And then what I would do is I would have a blank sheet of paper, literally like this one right here, blank sheet of paper like this. And I would sit down and I would visualize what I actually wanted my grades to be. And when I came from that visualization, I used to draw out on a blank sheet of paper exactly what I saw. And Sean, I kid you not, I got exactly what was on that paper. Literally, I still have the paper today. It's somewhere around there. I literally still have the paper. I have my actual grades. I have my actual grades. Like the institution sent me back my actual grades, and I have the piece of paper that I drew my grades on, and they match like literally to the T. And and the way I did that was I went online. I found what the transcript would look like. I drew out my own transcript, and I put in the detail that I wanted. And what did I do? Now there's a two-part to visualization. So the first part is having the detail, being able to see the vision, but the second part is the action. So a friend of mine, he was into football, what you guys call soccer. His dream was to go to the US to play soccer, and he was into the visualization thing as well. And he used to tell me all the time, Junior, I'm visualizing, I'm manifesting my reality. I say, bro, what are you doing? What are you working on? I'm working on manifesting my reality, manifesting my dream. So he used to literally sit down all day and visualize him playing football in the US. That's literally all he would do. So I'll say, hey, bro, when do you practice? He said, no, man, no worry, I'm going to attract it to me. So when do you practice? No, you don't understand. I'm visualizing the goal. I'm going to attract it to me. I said, what? He said, yeah, I'm attracting, because everybody knows about the law of attraction, right? So I'm using the law of attraction to put me in the US, and I'm seeing myself on the field, and I'm seeing myself dribbling with the ball, and I'm playing like, at the time it was Ronaldinho and Messi and all of these other guys, and he's playing on those teams. But guess what? It never happened.
Woo.
It never happened because he missed the second part of the equation. The Bible says faith without works is dead.
There we
So
go.
when you visualize, okay, the way you start to bring it into reality is you take immediate and massive action. Immediate and massive action in the direction of the thing that you want, and eventually you will get it. You know, you're gonna run across, and what has happened for me, Sean, is when I take immediate and massive action, I normally come across somebody, something, some resource, something that I had
Oh,
before. Like the universe or God starts to show you different things and starts to point you in the right direction. And before you know it, 1 year, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, some people one month, 1 week, whatever it is, you actually get that thing. So for me, visualization is everything. And what I think too, I think everybody who creates anything, any creator could be creator of the iPhone, creator of a cup, creator of the laptop, creator of the mic, they all went through some process of visualization. As an engineer, you put stuff on a blueprint, right? Yeah, you put stuff on a blueprint. That is
okay.
in and of itself a form of visualization. You have to see that thing, right, before you put it down. So Elon Musk just released the Cybertruck. Elon Musk just released the Cybertruck. Before they could do that, they had to put down the blueprint for it. He had to see each individual part. He had to see the brakes. He had to see the windshield. He had to see the wiper. I read something that said that I think it was Mercedes. Mercedes paid a guy like $2 million to develop the windshield wiper for one of their vehicles. They're just the windshield wiper.
Woo. Come
And it
on, let's go.
took him like 2 years. It took him 2 years to develop this revolutionary windshield wiper that would sort of curve around the windshield. It curved. It has this nice curve in it around the windshield. He did it, and it was super luxury. So it took him 2 years, made millions of dollars. But that just goes to show you, like, the people that are at a super high level, they're manifesting and they're visualizing on an ultra high level. We're talking about companies having 500-year business plans, like Mitsubishi, 500-year business plans.
Mm.
How's that for visualization, Sean?
Let's go. Let's go. That's exciting. That's exciting. I want you to think, guys, about the details of your goals. So everybody got goals, and everybody by February the goals are blown out, Bobby. Right. So in January, they're excited, they're ready to go. By February, they're like, man, forget this. I'm sleeping late. Even if they got to keep paying for the gym membership. Because they don't have the details right. They don't have the detail work out. I promise you guys. Like Junior just said, I can give so many examples, but I want to hear one from Bobby. Bobby, what is your experience with this visioneering? That's what I want to call it, visioneering, because there's engineering and there's visioneering, and when you apply the vision, what you're doing is engineering or visioneering a phenomenal life.
Yeah.
We got our own vocabulary over here.
Absolutely. And what comes to mind is my childhood. So I've always been an artistic person. It evolved from poetry into music, into a whole bunch of different things as I grew up. But when I was younger, I was an artist. I drew, and I drew exceptionally well. I got stuff submitted to Washington, D.C. and accepted there in the during a different like organization or what have you in high school. So I was a very talented artist. And the artwork that I would produce was what we call still life. And still life is when you look at something in the world around you and it's still, like a tree or a rose or a rock. So this is what we call still life, because it's alive and living in nature, but it's not moving, it's not animated. And that was my core focus of art. I really enjoyed still life. And when you are a still life artist, what you're doing is you have your sketch pad and you've got your pencil and you're looking intently at what it is you're trying to draw onto the paper. And there is this interesting chemistry that comes up the more you do this. So when you first start out drawing, you look at the vision or the thing that you're trying to draw and you'll study it. really, really hard. And then you'll come to your sheet of paper and then you'll draw a portion of the thing that you saw. And then you'll go back and you'll stare really, really hard, focus, and then you'll come back to your sheet of paper. So this is what most of us are learning to do right now in business. Like you are learning to write the vision down, make the vision plain, put it in a planner, and then work on it here and there, going back and revisiting the vision. But here's the magic. When you do this enough and you become a master of still life, something very interesting begins to happen. What begins to happen is you're looking and drawing simultaneously.
Ooh, let's go. Talk about that.
You don't have to go anymore. So I'm definitely going to talk about that. So what I want you guys to understand is that when you first start out building a vision, visioneering, you have to learn how to hold the vision, and you have to learn how to get your pencil and hand to acquiesce or follow what you're trying to put on the paper. But the more you do this hand and eye motion, and the more you draw the same types of things, what you'll learn is that your hands begin to flow. Your eyes begin to traverse between while the pencil flows and moves. And what you realize is you get a more crisp drawing and you get a more fluid experience. But I wanted to preface that with this video that I saw of the snow leopard, but I hope you guys got that in mind. So the visioneering has two components. You've got the vision and you got the execution. If you do this enough and you get into communities where visioneering is actually a practice, what you will learn is how to flow. Because now I've done this so much, like I've drawn so much, I can do what is called like intentionality. Like I can hold the intent of what I want to draw, and I can see the picture of what I want to draw, and I can hold that image in my mind for extended periods and draw it and not have to look back at the original picture for extended periods of time. And then I'll go back. But here's the thing, that's called flow. Like you get into artist flow. But here's the video that I saw that I think might bring things into perspective for entrepreneurs. It was a snow leopard. This snow leopard was walking through the Himalayas, or some mountains. I don't think the Himalayas have snow on them, but some snowy mountains. And as they were walking through these snowy mountains, they saw a buffalo of some kind, or like prey. They saw prey. And you could tell that this snow leopard had not eaten in days. And the snow leopard was about to be done for. Like if it didn't eat that day with those temperatures, it was over. So you have the drawing thing in mind. So you're visioning. So here's what the snow leopard had to do. The snow leopard saw the prey. The problem was the prey was like 300 feet down on another cliff.
Wow.
On another cliff. So what the snow leopard did was it looked at it, visualized having it, and it struck out. Boom! Snow leopard is running. It jumps off of a cliff, 300 feet in the air, and it's falling. It's falling. And as it falls, it hooks its teeth into the prey and pulls the prey down to like another 100 feet. The level of visualization and execution, like the leopard said, I'm hitting it. Boom, and then it locked on. It locked its jaws and it didn't let it go, and it pulled it down. And I believe that came from so many years of seeing, chasing, jumping, biting, to the point where it said it's do or die. Jumped off of a 300-foot cliff, got it, fell, flowed, and ate. So my piece on visualization would be, you got to do it until it's fluid.
Okay, great. So guys, I've written down a lot, right? This is active for me. Like I study, right? I study. I practice repetition deepens the impression. It's so funny, right? I literally spend 3 to 4 hours a day, every single day in study, locked in research, locked in learning phase. But I'm also locked in execution phase at the same time. So I'm learning and doing, and I'm learning and I'm doing and I'm learning. And this is not Sunday turned off. Like, so this does not turn off for me on Sunday. I do this consistently. I might do this in my sleep. I literally might be thinking about business and, how to, do the things that need to be done. Like, I visualize myself on stage, all of those things before I touch the stage. And that's why I feel more comfortable not scripting than if someone handed me a script. I feel like it's going to be so much better if I just go off instinct and give the people exactly what they're looking like they need right now at the moment. That's flow. I believe that I will fumble, or I feel like it just feels uncomfortable for me to script. Like, because yesterday's script was yesterday's truth. Today's script is what you need in the moment. And the lightning flashes of insight that are going to come while I'm looking at the crowd or while I'm speaking right now is exactly what people need to hear, as opposed to me reading from a script that I wrote, or even reading from a book that I wrote 2-3 years ago, right? So it's very important to understand this. I wrote a couple things down because we're always coming up with vocabulary. And you need the right words. Guys, you need the right words to describe your visions, because the wrong word will lead you down the wrong path. And you can have the right vision, but the wrong word. So sometimes to create the reality, you need to create the word. Sometimes to create the reality, you need to create the word. So for me, visualize and physicalize is a reality. And I know physicalize, you'll look in the dictionary and be like, Sean, that's not a word. But here it is, right? Because I had a vision and I physicalized it. I made it walk off the paper or walk out of my mind. I saw it, locked on it like Bobby talked about, and brought it to life. It was inanimate. You have to breathe life into it. It's something that nobody else can see right now, but you can see it. And if you can lock on it with that kind of predatory instinct, the magic that can happen. So visualize plus physicalize equals actualize. Because what you're looking for is the actualization. You're looking for the actualization. You're looking to make it tangible. You're looking to make your intangibles tangible. But you miss the alchemy part. Like Junior was saying, it's not all spiritual. Some of it has to be physical. You got to work in the right way to make it a reality. This is why 2 speakers can speak and one can get paid millions of dollars and the other one can be broke. Both of them speak. It's not speaking. It's how you speak. Because one is learning all of the scripts and they're like, I've got the script. It's not working. How many of you want to close deals, but it's not working? You're not closing. How many of you want to do business and you got 10 courses, but for some reason, it's just not working? It's the visualization and then the physicalization, which brings things to actualization and actual reality, right? You got to lock in on your target and allow for no distraction. There's something called the focal point. Focal point. And when you have that focal point, like Bobby was talking about, imagine if this snow leopard was distracted for 1 second. This is what happens to you guys. You set a phenomenal target and you start off the right way with the right energy. But then something happens to the left. You see a YouTube video. I don't know what your distraction is, but we got passions for distractions. I'm gonna go to a break in a minute, but we got passions for distractions. They say, tell me your poison. Tell me your poison. Everybody here has a particular poison. Your poison might not be my poison. I'll be impervious to your poison because I'm trained against it. But there's still something that has the ability to distract everyone from their path. And it takes you off of your focal point. As we move into 2024 and we move into the whole season of goal setting again, I want to posit or suggest or opine that if you allow yourself to be distracted, then next year will be just like last year. Think about that for a moment. From Harriet Tubman to Sojourner Truth to Rosa Parks, we have always been on a freedom run. Your LLC, your S Corp, C Corp, your business entity is what's going to give you the ability to go from your job, your industry wages, your 9 to 5 to the life of your dreams and the dream of your life. This is about you attaining all of the things that you could only possibly imagine and that our ancestors saw as not even being possible. Your freedom run, this is your freedom run. This is your moment. We're going to show you how to establish yourself as a business entity so you can go and come as you choose. There was a time when we needed permission slips to go from plantation to plantation. When you get a little bit older, you need permission slips to go from class to class. And when you get a little bit older, you get a vacation for 2 weeks, and then you have to come back after 2 weeks to your job, right? That's what they call it now, the 9 to 5, the gig. You might you work for 50 weeks and you get 2 off. The freedom run is when you establish your LLC and you're free for the rest of your life. It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. I said Sean Ra'is. I'm proud. I said Sean Ra'is. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire and heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Sean, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes. Business is like a game of chess. It's not checkers. If you don't know how to lead with a personal brand, then you're losing the battle.
Everything about Sean's talk was fantastic. I mean, I got so much from it.
So he was really bringing fire and passion and just love and spirit to let everybody else know how do you become a leader amongst the leaders.
You hold the key in your hand. There is more power in this phone than there was that took the first man to the moon.
his energy, his dynamic information, gave a really great presentation.
I didn't ask for any money. I didn't have an offer. I had a heart to help people and meet them where they were at and find their need and fulfill it.
Sean is the bomb.
I don't talk theory. I don't talk hyperbole. I don't talk opinion. Nothing I talk is anything but evidence-based.
During the G Circle retreat in Atlanta, I had the pleasure and the honor of listening to Mr. Sean Raiz. He will not only impact your organization, but he will elevate your team to another level.
When you change you, when you put you into the equation, the whole system is different. I guarantee you, you got the right thing. You are the right person. If you can present yourself in the best way possible, there's no negotiation.
His energy is infectious, and I have so many takeaways from the presentation that I can't wait to get started and implement them today to see the result.
All right, all right. So the reason why we played 4 videos for you guys just now is to kind of impress upon you the power of the visualization and what I would like to call undeniable faith. There's levels to faith, just like there's levels to success. I have a different level of faith. I don't script anything. All of those testimonials that you guys see when people are like, oh, he was such an asset and I want to have a game like him someday, or all of these phenomenal testimonials that I receive, they don't come from scripts. Every word that you hear me say as I'm speaking in all of these different places, I don't know what I'm going to say until I open my mouth and the Spirit comes. That's the faith that I have. For that snow leopard, Bobby, to jump off of that cliff, he knew. He had an undeniable faith. He already saw it. Like, he already knows it. So I have kind of the same thing. And this is what I want to impress upon you, because it's not about me. I'm not telling you how great I am. I want you to understand how great you could become if you were able to let go of preconceived notion and what you think you need to know and who you think you need to be and what you think you need to learn. If you could just let go of that and have that undeniable faith that it's already yours. I have multiple speaking engagements lined up. I'm not practicing any scripts, because when I sit in front of that audience, when I stand in front of that audience, when I emote, when I feel what that audience needs at the moment that they need it, that's when it'll come. That's when it'll be given to me. And until you have that kind of faith, you're going to stop yourself from succeeding. You're going to stop yourself from being successful. I tell people all the time, it's you versus you.
You know, I know, Junior, did you want to go second? I have a piece to add to that if you didn't have anything.
No, you can go ahead, Bobby. That's fine.
Okay, so one thing that I wrote down, like while I was watching the break, and I think just perfectly segues with what Sean was just saying, was the barrier to execution affects visualization. And I wrote something down here to kind of just help with this concept, and it's real short, and I'll be passing it right to Junior. Talent is anything you don't look stupid doing the first few times you do it. I want to explain what that means. So talent is anything you don't look stupid doing the first few times you do it. And a lot of people don't do the things that they're not talented at. And one thing that I want to kind of put out there is there are no talented entrepreneurs, because every entrepreneur looks stupid at some point in time in their business. Like, if talent, so there's this thing out there that goes like this: anyone can draw, anyone can sing, anyone can dance. And it's true. The reason some people dance and other people don't is because some people don't feel like they look stupid dancing. Imagine if you told someone, come out here and dance, and they tried to do the bachata. It might not be natural for them. They might not have an inclination and the rhythm in them. And because they feel like they look stupid, they feel like they are discombobulated, disjointed, and uncomfortable, the fear of criticism, ridicule, and all of these other things make them look even worse. because now they're thinking about how they look. They're thinking about all of the different things, and visualization comes from your ability to trust yourself to do what you're seeing. So a good dancer, a talented dancer, looks at the instructor. We have this thing called mirror neurons. So mirror neurons are our ability to replicate what we see. So a talented dancer looks at the instructor dance, and then they mimic the dancing of the instructor with faith and confidence that they're going to look like the instructor looks. That's what we would call a talented dancer. A talented artist looks at the picture, picks up the pencil, and has faith and confidence that what they draw is going to look like what they see. And the barrier to execution affects your visualization. So if you visualize something, but you have a barrier to execution, or you feel funny about what it's going to look like, you don't trust that it's going to look like what you think it's going to look like. That is the execution barrier. And if you have an execution barrier, then you won't be able to sing, because, and this will be my last point, I've learned how to sing, but I'm not a talented singer. I've learned how to dance to a degree, but I'm not a talented dancer. And I've learned to draw, but I am a talented artist. So the thing about singing that I just wanted to point out really quickly is that the reason so many people struggle to sing is because singing is one of the most trusting activities you can do. And it's a trusting activity because the sound that you make comes from your vocal folds. So your vocal folds vibrate at a speed, and that speed is what creates pitch. So when you're singing, the vocal folds have already vibrated before the speed of sound reaches your ears. So what am I saying? I'm saying you don't sing with your ears, because by the time your ears hear what your vocal folds have already done, it's too late. So it's all retroactive. So how do you sing? You sing from your diaphragm. So you have to know how much breath needs to pass over the vocal fold for the ear to hear it in time. So when we hear a note, boom, and we replicate that note, we're training our ears. But what we're really training is our diaphragm to know how much air needs to pass over the vocal folds and how quickly for the ear to hear the pitch that needs to be heard. That requires trust and faith in the breath. And that's why so many people struggle to sing. Because
I got a question, Junior. I got a question for Bobby.
Yes.
Because from what I heard, it sounds like the barrier to execution, and we all know that execution equals success, right? If you execute, you'll be successful. So the barrier to execution sounds like a lack of faith and trust.
100%. 100%.
Go ahead, Junior. I think I'm done.
Yeah, you know, this concept actually reminds me of a book called Release Your Bricks by Jim Newman, where he talks about the four pillars of potential. I try to remember all four, but the first one is genetics. So everybody is born with certain genetics. So you're born at the height you are, right? You have the body structure you have. There's nothing you could really do about that. So if you're like 4'2", you know, most likely you're not going to be able to go to the NBA. Doesn't matter how much faith you have, right? You're most likely not going to be able to go to the NBA. So apart from genetics, the second one is knowledge of yourself. So how well do you know yourself? All right, knowledge of self is very, very important when it comes to you tapping into your fullest potential. Number 3 is knowledge of the world. Now, the world in this context is knowledge of whatever it is that you want to do. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, right, you have to know, like, have knowledge of entrepreneurship. So you have to know about sales, you have to know about closing, branding, etc., etc. But the last piece, and the piece that Jim really stresses on, Bobby, and the whole, you know, preface of the book is emotion. So the last piece, one of the pillars to potential, is emotion. So in other words, you could have somebody who has all of the genetics, they know themselves very well, they have knowledge of the subject very well, but if they have this emotion that's preventing them from taking action, then they never live up to their fullest potential. And what I hear you describing, Bobby, when you talk about the barrier to execution, the barrier to execution is emotion. The barrier to execution is emotion. So the quickest path between 2 points is a straight line. The
Mm.
quickest path between 2 points is a straight line, right? But what I've found is that often emotions get in the way. So, for example, I'll use a sales example. So you have to jump on the phone. You have to jump on the phone. Quickest way to get to the prospect is to call the prospect. Now, it just so happens that if you have massive amounts of confidence, if you have massive amounts of faith, etc., and all of the wonderful things that you guys are describing, then you just pick up the phone and you call. So in your example with the big cat who jump off the cliff, the shortest points or the shortest path between 2 points between him and that buffalo was a straight line. So he just went for it, right? He went for it. He didn't have the second guesses, the second thoughts, the negative emotion, the what if, the this and the that. And he didn't let that get in between him and his intention. So his intention was to do it and he just did it. So think it, do it. And then what you end up finding is that, if you lack confidence in stuff, okay? So there have been stuff that
Keyword.
there have been stuff that I did, Sean, that I didn't have any confidence in because I didn't have any competence.
Keyword. Let's go.
So let me describe. So when I started working with Sean, okay, every single day, Sean is like, do this. He's asking me to do stuff that I've never done before, that I've never done. And he's expecting me to be able to do it. Okay, so I'm like, okay, what is this? I've never done this. I don't know how to do this. But so how can I have confidence in something that I have no competence in? Think about it. So they say competence breeds confidence. But what if you don't have competence? So an entrepreneur is just starting off. They don't have any competence. They don't know about sales. They don't know about closing. They don't know about speaking or whatever skills you need. So where does the confidence come from? In the lack of confidence, I think sometimes, man, like I'll say again, the fastest path between 2 points is a straight line. So you get it done. You have to get started to be great, but you don't have to be great to get started. You don't necessarily have to have, confidence. You just need to have faith. I think faith and confidence are two different things. I think you develop confidence as you
Yes.
develop competence. But I
Yes.
think in the beginning, like Sean was talking about, that undeniable faith and that undeniable trust in yourself. I'll tell you something, Bobby. When I really started this journey, man, I really have any references, right, to look at and say, okay, this is why I can do this, okay? But I believed in myself, and I think everybody should. If you position yourself, if you do the things that any professional would do, if you're training, if you're practicing, and if you've developed the kind of mindset that has the belief and the faith that you're the kind of person that could do anything they put their mind to, then you can lean and you can stand on yourself for faith, on yourself and on God. That you can do anything that you set your mind to. So I'll go back to the example of training. The reason why we train twice a day, okay, is because we want to develop ourselves into competent people that can deal with anything that comes their way. So you don't put your trust in the script. You put your trust in
No.
yourself. You put your
All
trust in
day.
yourself. Okay. So nowadays, when it comes to execution, I just act. I don't think. And I tell people this all the time. Don't think. One of my mentors told me that, he told me, Junior, your thoughts don't matter. So if I'm coaching Bobby and Bobby tells me, hey, Junior, I know you said to do this and do that, but I think, my mentor would say to me, your thoughts don't matter because your thoughts are the reason why you are where you are. So sometimes you have to not think and act. I'm a high C. I love to think, but I also understand the balance, okay, of when not to think and not to trust yourself because it sounds like it's paradoxical, right? I'm saying don't trust your thoughts, not yourself. Trust yourself, but don't always trust your thoughts because sometimes your thoughts will persuade you not to do something. So for me, practical example, in a business, certain things that I had to do, I would do it and then think. Because by the time that I did it, I had beaten the thought, the negative thought, before I could think it. Now in sales, very interesting concept. There's something called call reluctance. So call reluctance means when it's time for you to get on the phone, you're having those thoughts. What if I call a prospect and it's the wrong time? What if I call him and he hangs up on me? What if I call him and it's the wrong time? You know, what if I'm intruding on their privacy? I don't want to be that kind of person. So the way you beat that is that you act and then you think. Because when you act, guess what? Your second brain sort of takes over. So for that it was a leopard, was it, Bobby? Was a
Yes,
leopard?
snow leopard. Yep.
For that leopard, that snow leopard, when he jumped, boom, his instincts kicked on. Okay. And now he walks into the realm of what you call unconscious competence, where he's not thinking, but he's able to do. He's not consciously thinking, but he's still thinking. He's thinking if his animalistic brain, his second mind, and he's able to do anything because he's thinking based on, and he's feeling and trusting himself. And that's what we do. That's what I do. That's what I do. So if I'm closing or whatever, I don't need a script. Sometimes I'll use a script, okay, but I don't need a script. I'll just act. And when I act, things happen. I just know what to do. And I'm sure everybody on this call could attest to that. Like whatever you're good at, whether it's coaching, closing, for Sean, it's speaking, Sean just boom, he just acts. And I could imagine Sean being on the stage and in that moment, not having to think, but he's thinking anyways. And he's in that state of flow where he's thinking in between thoughts and he can act quicker than people can think. And so, for me, even if you don't have the confidence, just act anyways. And the confidence will come because you'll be able to trust yourself. But the key here is you establishing self-esteem. Self-esteem means keeping the promises that you make to yourself. Keeping the promises to yourself.
We might have to start charging for this, guys. I ain't gonna lie. Like we might have to turn around and start charging for this. This might be one of the highest paid programs that there is, because every time somebody opens their mouth, it's a clinic.
Yes, sir. So, it comes down to self-esteem. So when your self-esteem, self-confidence, self-image don't align, you self-sabotage. Self-esteem means keeping the promises that you make to yourself. Hey, if I trust myself that I can work out twice a day, I could do this and I could do that and I could, keep a clean diet and I could do this, then I can do anything. I can do anything. There's nothing I can't do. Because every time I've given myself the challenge, guess what? I stood up to the challenge. And this one's going to be no different. Whether it's, sales or marketing or branding, whatever it is, whether it's speaking, I'll be able to stand up to the challenge because I'm that kind of person that can trust and rely on themselves. And that, I think that's the key, Sean. Working out or training in the moments when you don't need it, better to need it and not have it than have it. Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So develop yourself into somebody who is in search of the most competent, capable, and powerful version of themselves so you could stand up in any situation that arises.
Bobby giving space, right? Bobby doing the pregnant pause speech, right? I want to acknowledge somebody here. Dr. Michelle D. Clark did a phenomenal thing over the last month or so. They had the Fab 40, under 40 or 40. What was the name of it? Put it in the chat, Dr. Michelle. However, she chose to transform or transmute the fear to faith, right? And she took faith on a suggestion that I made. I made a suggestion. And she basically Fab over 40. So Fab over 40 was a phenomenal event that she did, and she was so successful. So successful. I mean, when you come in the right community, like, we applaud you, we support you 1000%, and we love to see you succeed. And it was extremely ethical, and extremely results oriented. So it was for breast cancer, and she raised all kinds of money for breast cancer. And she made the decision less than 2 months ago. to even go in that direction. Less than 60 days ago, she made the decision to go in that direction. And about 30 days ago, she said, okay, and she hit it. And when she hit it, all kinds of resources magnetically attracted themselves to her, and all kinds of opportunities, and all kinds of results from these opportunities, and then all kinds of money for the cause that she supported and stood up for. Now, had she not changed the fear to faith and acted on what she felt the entire time, that foundation and that platform would have lost tons of money, because tons of money and tons of support came out. They just mysteriously appeared from nowhere. That's how your success will be. Your success will just mysteriously appear when you stop being scared and you start being driving. When you stop allowing fear to convolute your faith and you just act without thinking. Because if I was to say, what is the component, or what is the tangible or intangible thing that stops people from going from fear to faith, it would be what Junior said: thinking. Because we have what was called conventional logic. But the mysteries and the miraculous nature of creation, it's not conventional. It's not conventional. So when you think you're making sense, you need uncommon sense. You don't need common sense. Common sense is common, and that's how you'll stay broke. Because most people are. What you're looking for is an uncommon sense, that sixth sense or seventh sense, and that sense of selflessness where you just do things. So Junior said he's a high C. I'm a high D. I just do stuff. I don't feel that fear stuff. What do they call it, Bobby? Fire, ready, aim.
Yeah.
That's me. Fire, ready, aim. Do it yesterday. Don't ask questions. Execute. Don't tell me how many people you're going to call them. I brought people in the room, and we're going to close on this, Bobby. I brought people in the room during the Myrtle Beach Mastermind. I brought a bunch of entrepreneurs in the room. I said, your money's in your phone. Dr. Michelle was there. I said, your money's in your phone right now. They came to when you go to a conference, most times it's like, okay, how much am I going to spend? How much more money they're going to sell me for? Much more stuff am I going to buy? They came to Myrtle Beach, and I said, look, your money's in your phone right now. I said, close the doors. I said, close the windows. I went outside. I told the management, turn up the heat. I created a boiler room. I said, close the doors, close the windows. Went outside the management, said, turn up the heat. If I could have, I'd have said, chain the door. But I didn't have to. I said, nobody leaves this room until somebody makes money. And people were looking at me like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? I said, take out your phone and call the people that you know, because your money's in your phone right now. Somebody in your phone is dying to give you money. I promise you this. There were some people who were scared. They said, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. I said, no bathrooms right now. I waited till everybody came back from the bathroom, Bobby. It was after the break. Everybody ate. Then they went to do the refreshment piece. And I said, great. Everybody's here. Good. Close the door, lock the windows, turn up the heat. Nobody leaves until somebody makes money. And you should have seen it. You should have seen it. 500 here, 300 there, 20. When somebody hit 2,500 people, I promise you, in the sales pipeline, there was more than $500,000 in the pipeline, because people had appointments with people they had never spoken to. People had appointments with people that they had spoken to for years ago, because I put that pressure on them. And I said, nobody leaves. Pick up your phone. I want to see everybody dialing their phone. I went to people's phone and made sure that they was dialing and they were actively speaking to people. That's the problem, guys. You're not doing the activity. Money follows movement. You're stuck in thought. Get out of your head. Get out of your head and get into your phone, and watch what happens to your wallet. Watch what happens to your confidence. Watch what happens to your self-respect. Watch what happens to your self-esteem. Watch what happens to your brand. Watch what happens to your leadership. Watch what happens. Pick up your phone, man. Oh, it's Saturday. Junior, it's Saturday. You know what we're doing? Closing deals. Yeah, it's Saturday. Some people say it's raining outside. I can't go sell. Another person says it's raining outside. Great. Because all the fake salesmen going to stay at home.
That's right. Travis, did you have something, Bobby? Go ahead.
I mean, I had something very, very short. For those that are watching, you know, draw and writing, those that are watching and taking notes, I want to give you guys something that I've been developing for a little while that you might be able to just use for next year. I want you to draw a triangle, a square, a circle, and a half circle. 4 shapes. So a triangle, a square, a circle, like a half circle. Now, off to the side, I want you to write 45 degrees, 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 360 degrees. It's going to bring you guys into my world a little bit. Like I'm a pretty interesting thinker. So I'm going to give you guys a gift today, something that I use. So they say it takes about 45 days to build a new habit, right? Give or take 30 to 45. If you look at the triangle is comprised of 3 45 degree angles. So I want you to think of 3 habits that you would like to dedicate yourself to creating. That's going to be your triangle. 3 habits, 45 days each. Now, what we know about squares is that squares are made up of 4 90-degree angles. So a 90-degree angle is nothing more than 2 45-degree angles put together. So now I would like you to take 4 habits and think of which ones you're going to do for 90 days each. So the 3 habits that you do for 45 days each, that's already took up 3 months. Once you do the next one, you've got this kind of 3 months thing. So the 45 days takes up 1 month and some change. The 90-day one takes up 2 months. Once you get to 180, that's double the 90 days, but that's also roughly half a year, give or take, because a year is about 360 days. So now what I'd like you to do with your half circle, or with your full circle, no, half circle. With your half circle, I want you to write something about yourself that you would like to see a 180-degree shift on. And then with your full circle, I want you to think that if you did all 3 45-day habits, all 90-day habits, and you changed yourself by 180 degrees, then you will have what may look like a 360-degree improvement in your life. I call that geometrical growth. That's something that I use, that I work on, and I've been developing. But if you do it, you might get that 360-degree transformation just using that geometric system.
That's going from incremental to exponential, and I'm seriously going to consider charging for this. Guys, I promise you, this breakfast call is a blessing right now. The reason why I'm saying that is because I know people tend not to value the free. It takes a different kind of person to really value what's given to them. Most of us are not. Most of us value what causes us pain, and usually pain comes from transactions. When people pay for things, they usually feel pain, so they usually take that thing more seriously, right? I really want you to try to understand the value, because if I don't hear you start executing, and I don't see you start executing, and I don't see some results in the chat from what you got from us, I think we might cease and desist or begin to at least charge for this, right? So that's what I want you to do. I need you to execute. No, don't come here for entertainment. We're not 3 dancing heads or 3 dancing bears and 3 stooges, right? I want you to execute. And if you fail to execute, then I think we might fail to continue. Do this next week. Experiment with it. Put it in the marketplace. Next week when we come on Saturday, tell us what you got in this. Tell us what you got in the chat. Tell us what your results are. That's what this is going to be. Results-based, outcomes-oriented. Let's grow. I'm so serious.